Day 4 of the Democratic Convention is underway. Claire McCaskill, a senator from Missouri, speaking as one of the Democratic women senators. Let's take a listen.
Most experienced, most capable leader to run for president, maybe ever. But here's something you may not know. Earlier this year, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, Hillary called me to check in. Not once, not twice, but several times. Here she was in the middle of an intense campaign, and she was asking me questions about my treatment. She wanted to know how they were going, and she told me to keep up the fight. Her words gave me strength during one of the toughest tests of my life. And let me tell you, she didn't do it because I was a senator. There are thousands of people across this country who could tell the exact same story I am telling you tonight. She has the intelligence. She has the work ethic. But most importantly, she has the heart to lead this country.
As all of us here know, our policies abroad have real consequences at home. For 15 years, a printing manufacturer in my state of New Hampshire struggled with a foreign trade dispute. The costs to the company were so high, hundreds of jobs were threatened. At Hillary Clinton's confirmation hearing for Secretary of State, I brought the issue to her attention, and she promised to look into it. Well, within just 90 days, the issue was resolved. Here Hillary was, a newly minted Secretary of State, having to get up to speed on every major issue across the globe, and yet she kept her word, and she took the time to help out one struggling New Hampshire company. But that's Hillary. When you need a champion, there is no one better to have in your corner.
All right, the Democratic women of the Senate there on Day 4 of the Democratic Convention, making a pitch, telling a little bit of the life and professional story of Hillary Clinton, and an argument really that should appeal to independents and perhaps some other voters as well. Same thing we got from former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who really came into bloom last night. Clearly made a case for Hillary over Trump and was clearly trying to win over disaffected Republicans and independents.
Through his career, Donald Trump has left behind a well-documented record of bankruptcies and thousands of lawsuits and angry stockholders and contractors who feel cheated and disillusioned customers who feel they've been ripped off. Trump says he wants to run the nation like he's running his business? God help us. I'm a New Yorker, and I know a con when I see one. Together, let's select a sane, competent person with international experience, a unifier who is mature enough to reach out for advice, to build consensus, and to recognize that we all have something to contribute.
So sane and competent, that's where the bar is right now in this election. But Bill, you're the target audience for Michael Bloomberg's speech last night. You're a Republican who has left the party and become a conservative because of Donald Trump. How effective do you think that message was and that messenger?
I think Bloomberg is probably the most effective messenger at that because he's a successful businessman and because he was New York mayor, and obviously he knows Trump very, very well. I think that was a very effective hit for the campaign. What I was going to say before was that the world has changed so much that you could do a carefully crafted speech, and Mrs. Clinton can do that, and Trump can send out 140 characters and change the entire conversation overnight. Months could go into it, but I do think that Bloomberg's speech is very effective, and I think they'd be wise to use him on the trail.
Having said that, Dominic, it wasn't in the coverage that the networks were on. It wasn't in the 10 o'clock hour. How effective do you think Bloomberg was?
Extremely, and it can sway some of those crucial and critical independent voters. What's interesting about Bloomberg and Trump, they each have a subject to be jealous of the other. Trump wants to have the money. Bloomberg is the real billionaire. They're both from New York. New York is only big enough for one. Bloomberg is the real billionaire, and Bloomberg is jealous of Trump because Bloomberg's thing was all of his success on the campaign trail, meaning Trump's, that should be me right now. So they have a reason to be jealous of each other. And they used to be friends, allegedly, possibly, back in the day. They can't stand each other now.
The city ain't big enough for the both of us.
It's not.
Congressman, I'm curious your thoughts about Bloomberg. How effective you think it was, and how effective you think he would be to independents and disaffected Republicans?
Well, for disaffected Republicans and independents in the Northeast, I think he would be effective. I wonder, I don't know the answer, if he's well enough known or well enough regarded or just thought of as a New York mayor, whether he will have an appeal on a residence in the Rust Belt, in the central part of America, that's at play here. I happen to think Bloomberg was a terrific mayor, not perfect, but did a great job for New York. And his testimonial that Trump is a con artist and not a sane or competent person does resonate with me.
I think Bloomberg talks more to independents than Republicans. I think, conservative Republicans, certainly not. They're not big Bloomberg fans, but independents he does have an effect with.
Somebody must have stolen Donald Trump's phone and stopped him from tweeting while Bloomberg was speaking last night. Up next, we caught up with some of the deans of the New York delegation in Philadelphia, David Dinkins and Charlie Rangel, together here next.